Hello and welcome. Namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up over the next 1 hour. Internet blacked out nationwide in an Iran hit by widening anti-government protests. Prompts US President Donald Trump to reiterate his warning of hitting back hard if the agitators are targeted. The US Senate advances a resolution barring Trump from further unilateral military action against Venezuela, as the US President is set to meet heads of major US oil companies at the White House. The US President on Friday says it's up to Chinese President Xi Jinping to decide what China does on Taiwan, but added he'd be very unhappy with any change in the status quo. French President Emmanuel Macron says his nation will vote against the EU-Mercosur trade deal after protesting farmers entered Paris with their tractors. And in sports, riding high on World Cup glory, Indian cricket seeks rising stars as its premier Women's T20 League gets underway. WPL returns with its 4th edition. So what's happening in Iran and where's it headed? Let's find out a little bit more with our expert guest. We're joined by Ambassador Anil Kumar Trigunath. He's a former senior diplomat. Good afternoon to you, Ambassador Trigunath. Internet shutdown is being seen as a bit of an ominous indicator where Iran's past is concerned. But do you think things might be different this time around?
Well, the regime in its since 1979, that's about 46 years, has been able to survive several protests. One of the biggest was, of course, during the Mahsa Amini's death. But this one is definitely driven by various economic causes, as well as the external interference. So no doubt there is economic condition is quite bad because of the continued sanctions on the Iranians. The cost of living has hit the roof. Rial has been devalued to some 1.4, 1.5 million, which is exceptional. And the people are suffering. And that's why the shopkeepers, which are called bazaris and all traders, they have also come into the support of the protests and wanting the regime to do something about it. But the problem is also there is a deep-seated, I think, disgruntled man about the privileges that the elite people, including the IRGC and others, enjoy the country while the rest of the ordinary people suffer. So there is a perception that there is a lot of corruption. There is a perception there's no transparency in governance. But at the same time, we must give it that Dr. Pezeshkian, the president, as well as the supreme leader have both acknowledged the problem and they have owned up the problem. And they're trying to do something about it, but I think that in the short term, it becomes very difficult. Secondly, we should not forget that Iran has a very large, educated young people, and they are all social media connected. They understand the information, and they are suffering. So it becomes compounded in the process. Unemployment is there tremendous. So that is what is all these factors coming together have created a major problem in Iran this time, which is, of course, being again pumped up by President Trump when he made a statement that if any action is taken against the protesters, which is actually also a legitimate right of any government to control the violence and law and order. But then President Trump has said they will come heavy hand and all that. So those kind of statements have also may have, somehow emboldened the certain groups among the protesters. Another thing is that now everybody is looking at some kind of a change in the regime. For example, Ayatollah Khamenei is almost 86 years old and has been ailing also. So there has to be a succession issue that is also on the forefront. And you have Shah Pelvi, who is also being propped up by the West, especially the United States, and is wanting to come back, he gave a call to the people to come in Tehran. And in the Islamic countries, mostly Fridays are always very, very important to watch.
But again, what sort of a future does it point to for Iran now, when the economy, as you said, is in doldrums? The people are out on the streets in increasing numbers, with every passing day ever since the 28th of December. And it comes to a situation when, even after having given some concessions to the people where the economic woes are concerned, like increasing their subsidy, these crowds have not stopped coming out, and now there's an internet shutdown. What does that really indicate? Does it tell you that the solution is not perhaps in the Khamenei's hand, or as far as Dr. Pezeshkian is concerned?
Well, it is true that, I mean, these economic problems, which are more than 4 decades old due to the extreme sanctions, are not going to go away so soon, or can be easily addressed. As you know, in the last budget, the government has decided to increase the taxes by about 60%, and that's what really provoked the people. That on the one hand, you have these economic difficulties, on the other hand, the government increases taxes. So this is what the government realized and tried to roll back through a 16-point plan. These things take time to really settle down. And when people are protesting, there's a mob mentality, and that all gets compounded to the extent that they want a change in the government. And they think that the new government will provide them some kind of a relief, but that is very difficult. We have seen in every country, wherever these kind of overthrow have taken place, whether legally or illegally, these are some things that are very difficult to address. But at the same time, this is how the things play out. So it is quite possible that if the violence is used against people, then there can be a much bigger violence from the public that would create a problem there. But one more thing is, in case, whether it is USA or Israel, which have been prompting a lot of protesters as well, or Shah for that matter, do something about it, then or attack or do like use any pretext to intervene, then it is very likely that these will peter out like last time. And once again, you will have people rallying behind the government, because Iranians are very proud people. They want their country to survive and not be subjugated by others.
And President Trump has been very critical, and he's warned time and again that he will hit Iran hard. He will really go out all out against Iran if the people are harmed. There are, of course, non-official reports of people already being harmed and being locked up. But do you feel that there is little scope for Donald Trump to do something similar to what he has done in the case of Venezuela, where Iran is concerned?
Well, I doubt very much that he'll do so, because yesterday, I think, or today morning, there was an interview in which this question was specifically asked. So in terms of some casualties that occurred, then President Trump, according to his information, he said in several incidents it is because of this stampede when the police was trying to control the crowds and the rioters. So that is something. But he also repeated that if there are violence against the protesters or they're killed, then he'll use heavy hand over. But the United States is sitting very far ahead. It has already tried to propel the Iranian economy to a great extent. It wants Iran to come back to the table once again, but on its terms, on the US terms. And that is something very difficult. Secondly, it wants to continue to create the Israeli supremacy in the region as well as over Iran. So that kind of a thing they've already done with the Iranian, as far as its proxies like the Houthis or Hamas or Hezbollah are concerned. But on the other hand, I think that whatever one knows about Iran, I think anybody who coming to power now, whether propped by the West or from within, would find it extremely difficult to overcome it until and unless some sanction reliefs and the international collaboration is exceeded.
Right. And that can only happen in case the present regime were to find a way out or exit altogether. But that doesn't seem to be the case right now. But still, the only or the biggest thing that Iran and Venezuela have in common is oil.
Well, Iran had also invested a great deal in Venezuela, if you know. I mean, Venezuela's biggest sin was that it was hobnobbing with the Chinese, with the Russians, and the Iranians. and was confronting the Americans. Apart from having, there's an oil curse actually, and this was very much known. So I think for President Trump, that's why he wants Iran to be not in the opposing camp to the extent possible, because Iran is the third largest source base for the crude oil and all gas as well. So it's an important country. It can come back very fast in case there is some kind of a peace or sanctions are lifted, and that's what they were aiming at after signing the nuclear deal. So from now till next 10 days would be very critical for the government and also for the people and international community, how it plays out.
Right. Well, I don't see sanctions being lifted until unless there is some major change in Iran, either in the regime itself or in its stance where its nuclear program is concerned. But we have to see how this entire situation plays out. Right now, I guess the situation is mostly in the hands of the Iranian people themselves. Thank you for joining us,
Thank you.
Ambassador Trigunayat. Now, still to come on DD India Newshour. At least 4 killed and several others injured after Russia unleashes a hypersonic missile and drone attack at Kyiv. The US Supreme Court is set to deliver its verdict on President Donald Trump's tariffs. And External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar calls on French President Emmanuel Macron during his France and Luxembourg visit.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Take a front seat to witness the grandeur that is Odisha. Experience immortal spirituality and timeless architecture that perfectly reflects the artistic soul of India. Get swept by its sun-kissed beaches. Take a
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, the US Senate has advanced a resolution that would bar President Donald Trump from further military action against Venezuela without congressional authorization. The vote on a procedural measure to advance the war powers resolution was 52 to 47, as 5 Republicans also voted with the Democrats in favor of moving ahead. 1 Republican senator did not vote. Thursday's vote paved the way for a Senate debate and a vote on final passage in the Senate next week. Trump condemned the Republicans who voted for the resolution, saying in a post on X that the party, and I quote, should be ashamed.
करते हुए एनालिसिस के लिए और आने वाले दिनों में बचावात्मक उपाय करने के लिए भी ये डेटा एक प्रकार से नए कवच का काम करेगा, इसका मुझे विश्वास है.
Prasar Bharati Divas serves as a bridge between India and Indians settled across the world. Celebrated once in every 2 years on the 9th of January, The day is not only linked to Mahatma Gandhi's return to India, but also honors the contribution of the Indian diaspora to the nation's development. DD India's Akhilesh Suban brings us more on this.
Prasar Bharati Divas, celebrated once in every 2 years on January 9, serves as an important bridge between India and Indian diaspora settled across the world. The date holds special historical significance as Mahatma Gandhi returned to India on January 9, 1915 from South Africa, marking a new direction in India's freedom struggle. The observance of Prasar Bharati Divas began on January 9, 2003 under the government of the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The main objective of this initiative is to connect the Indian diaspora with India's development and to benefit from their global experiences and expertise.
This was very important and pioneering initiatives by Atal Bihari Vajpayee government when we have started attracting the Indian settlers or migrants in different parts of the world. The basic objective was to attract trade, aid and investment and where the diaspora community can play a critical and important role.
The Prasar Bharati Divas is not merely a ceremonial event, but a strategic platform through which India engages with its citizens living abroad. It not only promotes Indian culture globally, but also acknowledges the vital contribution of the diaspora in shaping India as an emerging global power. In the initial years, the event was held annually. However, in 2015, the format was revised and Prasar Bharati Divas is now celebrated once in every 2 years to make it more effective and meaningful. The Indian diaspora also makes a significant contribution to India's economy. Remittances sent back home support millions of families and villages, while strengthening India's foreign exchange reserves. Overseas Indians also boost India's economy through substantial investments and expertise in sectors such as IT, startups, and industry. To strengthen ties with overseas Indians, the Government of India issues Overseas Citizen of India or OCI cards, which allow foreign-based Indians to travel to India without a visa. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during his foreign visits, regularly interacts with Indian communities settled abroad, discussing India's progress and encouraging them to contribute to the nation's development. Prasar Bharati Divas is a tribute to nearly 40 million Indians living across the world, an acknowledgement of their Indian identity and a recognition of their invaluable contribution to India's growth and progress. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India.
India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, along with Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, inaugurated Ashok Leyland's electric vehicle plant in Lucknow on Friday. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari and Minister for Heavy Industries H.D. Kumaraswamy were also present at the inauguration ceremony. The factory, dedicated to electric vehicle manufacturing, is expected to act as a catalyst for investment, employment generation and the promotion of green transportation in the state. The facility highlights Uttar Pradesh's growing prominence as a hub for electric mobility and sustainable industrial development. India's Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Dinesh Tripathi, has embarked units of the Eastern Naval Command at sea on Thursday to review their operational readiness. During the visit, the Navy Chief observed a range of advanced operational drills conducted in a multi-threat environment, including complex fleet maneuvers, weapon firings and flying operations. Emphasizing the role of trained and motivated personnel, Admiral Tripathi highlighted the effective integration of modern weapons, sensors and uncrewed systems in a networked battle space, reiterating that such professionalism remains central to safeguarding India's maritime interests. Now, meeting the top brass of the Indian Armed Forces is always the dream of any NCC cadet. The National Cadet Corps cadets had an interactive session with the Indian Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal A.P. Singh, at his residence in Delhi on Thursday. The NCC cadets are in the national capital preparing for the Republic Day parade on the 26th of this month. The cadets shared their experience of the Republic Day camp with the Air Force Chief and also had the opportunity to click pictures with him. More than 500 cadets from 17 directorates attended the event.
I am feeling very enlightened and very thrilled after meeting the Air Chief Marshal. So it is a lifetime opportunity. Many other people don't get this opportunity in their whole life, and it is my privilege to meet with them.
He's a great personality. We have been here for 4 months. We have been training, and the hard works have come to end. But after meeting him, he's a great personality, and yes, for sure, I am motivated to join the Indian Air Force.
Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting Ashwini Vaishnav, along with Minister of State L. Murugan, launched Creators Corner on DD News, a special program dedicated to content creators. The inaugural ceremony featured a welcome address by Prasar Bharati Chief Executive Officer and remarks by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Secretary Sanjay Jaju, inspired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision to encourage the content creators economy. Now let's get you some inputs that we're getting on the Prime Minister's meeting, a round table that he had with startup founders.
उन्होंने फ्रांस के उसमें समिट में बताया था कि एक सब राइट हैंड से करते हैं पेंट क्योंकि राइट हैंड वाले ज्यादा पेंटर होते हैं. किसी ने लेफ्ट हैंड ट्राई करके देखा तो वो एक बहुत ही अच्छा एग्जांपल था. सो दैट मींस कि पीएम जानते हैं वो क्या कह रहे हैं. वो ये भी जानते हैं कि एआई का डिफ्यूजन होना इंडिया में बहुत जरूरी है. वो ये भी जानते हैं कि इंडिया को अगर एआई का विश्व गुरु बनना है तो इंडिया के लिए वो टिपिकल प्रॉब्लम्स जो वर्ल्ड सॉल्व नहीं कर रहा उसको सॉल्व करना है एथिकली और रिस्पॉन्सिबली. तो बहुत ही मजा आया मुझे और बहुत ही खुशी हुई है देख के.
उनका जो एक्सपीरियंस है वो हमारी सोच को रिफाइन करने के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी था. इंडिया की स्पेसिफिक नीड्स उनसे ज़्यादा कोई समझता नहीं है. उनसे बात करने के बाद हमें ये वापस से ध्यान आया है कि हमें सिर्फ वेस्ट को कॉपी नहीं करना है. हमें वो नहीं बनाना है जो वेस्ट बना रहा है. हमें वो बनाना है जिससे लोगों की लाइफ में चेंज आए.
प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स लीडरशिप हैज़ बीन वेरी इंस्ट्रूमेंटल फॉर अस. मतलब कि I myself shifted back from the US because of the Prime Minister's vision and the India AI mission, because in the US हमें ऐसी opportunities मिलती थी, but अब finally India में भी we have the GPUs, we have the funding to actually build models that can compete with the models of the world.
10 साल पहले हम कभी भी नहीं सोच सकते थे कि एक डीप टेक एम्बिशियस प्रोजेक्ट लेके मुझे अपने देश में ये काम करने का मौका मिलेगा. So वो अपॉर्चुनिटी अब यहाँ है.
इंडिया के लिए AI कैसा हो उसके बारे में बताया. उन्होंने सूत्र दिए कि इंडिया का AI हैज़ टू बी ऑथेंटिक एंड एथिकल. ऐसे ही हम दुनिया में अपनी छाप छोड़ सकते हैं. AI इज गोइंग टू बी आत्मनिर्भर इंटेलिजेंस फॉर इंडिया एंड विकसित भारत में इसका बहुत अहम योगदान रहेगा.
आप मानेंगे नहीं कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर जी के इतने काम होते हैं लेकिन वो मॉडल समझते हैं. वो समझते हैं कि हमारे क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हैं और ट्राई कर रहे हैं कि हम दूसरे देशों के आगे निकल जाएं.
पीएम का विजन ये है कि भारत दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा लीडर बने एआई के लिए, और इसके लिए ये ज़रूरी है कि हम भारत का डेटा यूज़ करें, भारत के मॉडल्स बनाएं और भारत के हर नागरिक के लिए अपनी भाषा में उपलब्ध कराएं.
Currently, I think the clarity, the purpose and the role that they've given each one of us and how we'll all come together to collaborate towards putting India on the pedestal.
While most people are still stuck thinking about the role of text-based LLMs and chat, he's really thinking beyond to the role of AI in science, the AI in innovation, and the real transformation that AI is going to bring to our lives.
I would say that his visions and the entire team's vision brought the industries back to the innovation and especially in the era of AI.
इम्पैक्ट समिट इंडिया के लिए एक बहुत बड़ा मौका है और हमें इसे गंवाना बिल्कुल भी नहीं चाहिए. हम ग्रास रूट लेवल तक जाकर लोगों तक भी एआई का फायदा पहुंचा पाएंगे. आई थिंक वो सबसे बड़ा विजन वाला आइडिया है जो पीएम सर ने हम लोगों को आज बताया.
What you saw was about how Prime Minister Modi chaired a roundtable meeting with leading Indian artificial intelligence startups on Thursday, underscoring the government's commitment to nurturing an ethical, inclusive and globally competitive AI ecosystem in the country. And still to come on DD India Newshour. The latest UN economic report says India will remain the world's fastest growing major economy in 2026 despite global slowdown. Real Madrid books itself the Spanish Super Cup final against Barcelona after beating Atletico Madrid on Thursday. And India's two-time Olympic gold medalist PV Sindhu advances to the quarter-finals of the Malaysia Cup. Amid signs of a global economic slowdown, India is set to remain the fastest growing major economy in the world in the coming years. According to the latest United Nations report, strong domestic demand and government investment will continue to support India's economic growth. According to the World Economic Situation and Prospects 2026 report released by the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, India's economy is projected to grow at 6.6% in 2026 and 6.7% in 2027. The report notes that robust domestic consumption and public investment will largely offset the negative impact of higher tariffs imposed by the US. It also says that recent tax reforms and monetary policy easing are likely to provide additional support to economic activity in the near future. Also, India's economy is projected to grow around 7.5% in fiscal year 2026, slightly higher than the National Statistics Office's first advance estimates of 7.4% and the RBI's projection of 7.3%. This is according to an SBI report. GDP growth is expected to rise from 6.5% in fiscal year 25, with gross value added growth estimated at 7.3% and nominal GDP expansion at 8%. SBI noted that the gap between RBI and NSO estimates is usually 20 to 30 basis points, making the current projection reasonable, though revisions are expected with updated data and base year changes. On public finances, the fiscal deficit stood at 9.8 lakh crore rupees by end November 2025. While tax revenues may fall short of targets, higher non-tax revenues and lower expenditure are expected to limit the impact, keeping the fiscal deficit at about 15.85 lakh crore Indian rupees. As a share of GDP, the fiscal deficit is likely to remain unchanged at 4.4%. And time now to get to some sporting news as well. Now, the stage is set for another exciting season of women's cricket as the Women's Premier League returns with its 4th edition. With teams reshaped after the mega auction, new captains, fresh coaching setups and a few notable absences, WPL 2026 promises plenty of intrigue even before the first ball is bowled. Defending champions Mumbai Indians will get the tournament underway against Royal Challengers Bengaluru as the league unfolds across Navi Mumbai and Vadodara. Here's more.
The much-awaited Women's Premier League is set to return with its 4th edition, bringing fresh excitement after the auction reshaped all franchises. The season will open on Friday with a blockbuster clash as defending champions Mumbai Indians, led by the World Cup winning captain Harmanpreet Kaur, take on the Royal Challengers Bengaluru, led by 2025's highest run scorer Smriti Mandhana. Both teams enter the tournament with reshaped squads. Two-time champions Mumbai Indians and 2024 winners RCB will miss the services of some key players. The tournament will be played across 2 key venues, the D.Y. Patil Stadium in Navi Mumbai and Kotambi Stadium in Vadodara. The first 11 matches will be held in Navi Mumbai, with the remaining 11 matches, including the eliminator and the final, shifting to Vadodara. Notably, double headers return for the first time since the inaugural WPL season. There has been significant movement off the field as well. Delhi Capitals will be led by Jemima Rodrigues, taking over the captaincy from Meg Lanning, who will now captain UP Warriors. 3 franchises also begin the season with new head coaches. Lisa replaces Charlotte Edwards at Mumbai Indians. Malolan Rangarajan takes charge of RCB, while Abhishek Nair steps in as head coach of UP. Several big international names will be missing from this edition. Elise Perry of RCB and Annabelle Sutherland of Delhi Capitals have withdrawn for personal reasons. RCB have named Sayali as Perry's replacement, leaving them with only 5 overseas players in their squad, while DC have brought in Alana King. Meanwhile, Elisa Healy, Chamaria Tapattu and Heather Knight went unsold at the auction, while Jess Jonathan, Tahila McGrath and Sophie chose not to register. There are plenty of exciting players to watch out for. Lizelle Lee, now with Delhi Capitals, comes into the tournament after a stellar WBBL season, scoring 305 runs at an average of 38.12 and a strike rate of 154.82. DC have also added 16-year-old Diya Yadav, an uncapped batter from Haryana, who has modelled her game on Shefali Verma. For Mumbai Indians, fast bowler Millie Illingworth, inspired by Jeff Thompson and capable of touching the 120 km/h mark, adds an intriguing pace option. With new faces and fresh leadership, the WPL shapes up as a season of transition and opportunity. As teams fine-tune their combinations and players look to make their mark ahead of the global calendar, the league once again promises high-quality competition and compelling stories, setting the tone for another landmark chapter in the WPL and women's cricket. Sports Desk, DD India.
Now, India's two-time Olympic medalist PV Sindhu progressed to the semi-final of the Malaysian Open after her opponent third seed Akane Yamaguchi, Japan, retired midway due to injury on Friday. In the solitary set that the world numbers 18 and 3 completed in the quarterfinals, Sindhu quickly reached 21-11 in 12 minutes before Yamaguchi asked the chair umpire that her injury is hampering her movement and she could no longer continue. Earlier on Thursday, Sindhu defeated 8th seed Tomoka Miyazaki of Japan in the second round match on Thursday. And Real Madrid booked a Spanish Super Cup final against Barcelona after beating city rivals Atletico Madrid on Thursday. Early goals from Federico Valverde and Rodrigo either side of half-time helped Real edge Atletico. Xabi Alonso's side will face Barca on Sunday in Jeddah in a repeat of last year's final, which their bitter rivals won after the Catalans eased past Atletico Bilbao on Wednesday. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.